Domains of action concepts. This chapter focuses on how the kinds of action concepts, typically encoded by verbs, are represented and organized in the brain. Within the broad realm of action concepts, action verbs will be discussed. According to Kemmerer 2015, in our world, time flows forward and all our actions unfold in its medium. Languages all around the globe provide their speakers with a special inventory of words, namely verbs, that encode different kinds of events. Most of this research has taken into account both semantic and syntactic factors, because a verb is not just a word for a particular kind of event, but also the chassis of the sentence. It is a framework with receptacles for the other parts, the subject, the object, and the various oblique objects and subordinate clauses included in it. Moreover, the meaning of a verb tends to correlate with the range of syntactic constructions that can occur in it. Based on these correlations between semantics and syntax, Levin, 1993, sorted over 3,000 English verbs into 50 classes and 200 subclasses. Some of these classes are, for instance, verbs of throwing: bat, throw, catch. Verbs of searching: trace or run after, search. Verbs of image creation: draw, write, paint. Verbs of exerting a force: push, press, or pull. Verbs of gesture with specific body parts: point at, nod, shrug. Verbs of assuming a position: kneel, lean. Verbs of ingesting: drink, eat. Verbs of change of possession: give, steal, buy or sell. As the grounded cognition model maintains, concepts are anchored in modality-specific systems for perception and action, such that understanding word meanings involves activating high-level sensory and motor representations of the lexis. Action concepts consist of long-term records of sensory and motor patterns that are stored in different cortical areas depending on their content. Let's consider, for example, the verb hop, as in the horse is hopping. The grounded cognition model suggests that visual semantic records specifying how hopping events appear are stored in the same posterolateral temporal areas that recognize such movements, and the motor semantic records that specify how hopping events are performed may be stored in the same parietal and frontal areas that contribute to the preparation of such movements. In this domain of action concepts, action verbs will be discussed. Transitivity is one of the most basic aspects of the linguistic representation of action. Transitive verbs designate events that involve two core participants, an actor and an undergoer. The actor is syntactically expressed as a subject-noun phrase, and the undergoer being syntactically expressed as an object-noun phrase. According to the theory called role and reference grammar, the actor of an event is the individual that performs, instigates, or controls it, whereas the undergoer is the one that is affected by it. For example, kiss is a transitive verb because it specifies a kisser and a kissee, being the first participant the subject and the second participant the object. In contrast to transitive verbs, intransitive verbs designate events that involve just one core participant, syntactically expressed by a subject-noun phrase. A growing body of neuroscientific literature suggests that transitive verbs recruit certain central and parietal regions, as well as Broca's area, significantly more than intransitive verbs and sentences. This shows that Broca's area is essential for processing the spatio-temporal organization of the types of object-directed actions that are encoded by transitive verbs. In conclusion, we may say that action verbs fall into two large domains: transitive verbs, which designate events with two core participants, and intransitive verbs, which designate events with only one core participant. Besides, transitive verbs depend more than intransitive verbs on certain temporal and parietal regions and also on Broca's area. Good morning, class.
Good morning, teacher.
Today we'll be dealing with action verbs. Whenever we think of action verbs, we think of mainly what? Actions related to
Transitivity.
transitivity.
Transitive and intransitive.
Okay, yes. We also call them transitive and intransitive verbs, right? Verbs that express movement, okay? Actions. Okay, can you please give me examples of transitive verbs? The ones that you have in your minds. Transitive verbs.
For example, sun, left,
For example, can you say it louder?
sun,
transitive verbs? Are you sure? Leave or live?
Live.
To go to some place. Okay, well, that would be intransitive, right? Can you give me an example of a transitive verb?
Visit.
Okay, very good. Any other? Let's eat, okay, anaí.
Run.
Run, okay, is that transitive or intransitive?
I think it's intransitive.
Okay, good. Now we'll try with transitive and intransitive verbs in a given context, in a particular situation. Can you think of examples of transitive and intransitive verbs in a particular situation, in context?
Okay.
Very brief one, short ones.
I run in intransitive. I run.
Okay, let's try to give a more complete context. For example, present or past, Anaí?
Present.
Present, so you're going to express a habit, something that you usually do. Okay, so try to complete that idea. I run early in the morning. Okay, very good. Any other transitive or intransitive verb in context?
Visit as a transitive verb. As an example, can be I have visited this place many times.
Good, wonderful. Any other one?
One example could be she loves animals.
Wonderful. And that would be transitive or intransitive?
Transitive.
Good. And Debbie, can you give us another example, please?
Of transitive and intransitive.
The one you like.
Transitive, I admire my mother every day of my life.
Oh, wonderful. Very beautiful example. Thank you. Okay. Good girls. Okay. Our next activity is to watch a video. And in this video, you are going to listen to a native speaker describing her life in Mendoza, why she's here, what she's doing in Mendoza. And as you listen, you are going to write down in the two columns, transitive and intransitive, the different verbs that you are going to identify from the video. Okay? Okay. Marion Brown. She's from Manchester, England. And we'd like to know a little bit about what she's doing here in Mendoza, and details about her trip and her stay here.
Okay.
Okay, Marion, can you tell us about your experience in Mendoza?
Well, I came to Mendoza in 2006 to live. I'd been here the year before when I wanted to climb Aconcagua, but we couldn't make it that time. We couldn't climb it that time.
Okay.
And I thought Mendoza was a beautiful place to live, so I came here the year after.
Oh, wonderful.
And settled. Yeah.
So you're a climber, aren't you?
I'm an andinista.
Oh, right.
I do easy mountains, which are high. I don't do technical mountains.
Oh, I see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what can you tell us about what you are doing here in Mendoza and what you usually do in your free time when you are not climbing?
Actually, I spend a lot of my time preparing to climb.
Oh,
I do a lot. I go running regularly. I do weightlifting in the gym. And I used to go cycling, cross-country cycling, but that got too much altogether.
Oh, I see.
I'm 70.
Oh,
I'm 70. Yeah.
good. Okay.
You can't do everything.
Okay, good. Yeah. Marion, tell us something about your idea before coming here. Why did you choose Mendoza to live?
I come from Manchester. Manchester has a climate which is cool for England, which means cold for Mendoza. It's wet. It rains practically every day. And I came to Mendoza and it was sunny every day. So I came back in winter to check, and it was still sunny every day. What more does a girl want?
Okay, good. Okay.
And I like the people as well. I found the people very friendly and helpful.
Right. Okay.
And so I rented a flat, a house, and bought my furniture and moved in.
Wonderful. Have you made friends here in Mendoza?
I have several close friends and quite a few acquaintances.
Good.
I'm not really a very sociable person.
Oh,
But,
okay. Okay, I see. So, can you consider that you have fulfilled your aims, your dreams when coming here?
most of them, yes.
Mm-hmm.
After I climbed Aconcagua, the year after I came here in 2007, I decided I wanted to climb the 10 highest mountains in Argentina.
Wow.
Just as a thing to do, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I've climbed most of them, but I've still got the Tupungato,
Mm-hmm.
which for me is more difficult because it has a lot of snow,
Oh, I see.
and I'm not very experienced in snow.
Right.
So I have to choose it at a time when there is not much wind, because it's very windy up on top,
Right.
and when there's not much snow.
Mhm.
And those two have to coincide with the time when I have my permission, because you have to go via Chile. It's very complicated from Argentina.
Oh, I see. Good,
So-
good, good.
That's why I haven't done it yet. Haven't climbed it yet.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, girls, now we'll do a different activity. Now we'll make up two different conversations based on two different topics. Group 1, Anaí and Gisela, will make up a dialogue about your future winter holidays. And group 2, Deborah and Agustina will think about your last summer holidays, okay? So I'll give you some minutes to think about that topic and the conversation that you may think about, okay? Good. Okay. Good. Okay, girls, are you ready?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, let's see team 1, your conversation. Let's see, girls.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Annie.
How are you?
Great. Tell me, what are you going to do on your winter holidays?
Let me think. I'm.
Okay, girls, let's start.
Okay. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Annie.
How are you?
Fine, thanks. And you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Tell me, Annie, what are you going to do on the winter holidays?
Okay, let me think. Maybe relaxing myself. Rent. I'm going to rent a cottage in San Rafael. There, I'm going to ski, visit the lake, maybe taste some chocolates. I don't know. What about you?
Yes, that sounds great. I have booked a flat in Salta. I'm going to visit that province. There I'm going to visit some museums, some famous museums, and eat many empanadas, of course. I love that. Okay, and see you later at university.
See you.
Bye.
Great, thank you. Let's see team 2.
Hi, Alice. Hi, Debbie. Tell me, what did you do in your last summer holiday?
Well, I went to Mexico. It has a wonderful places to go and to visit. It's wonderful. Mexico is really amazing.
Oh, it's so good.
What did you do in your summer holidays?
Let me remember. I was thinking about a trip to Brazil as a first idea, but then I decided to go to Guatemala.
Oh,
It's so exciting place to relax.
yes, and you were many days there?
I stayed 7 days.
Oh, I'm jealous. Okay, see you tomorrow.
Okay, see you tomorrow, baby.
Bye.
Thank you, girls. Great. Okay, guys, let's see. What are the transitive and intransitive verbs that you mentioned in your conversation? Let's see, Annie.
Okay, well, in our conversation, we mentioned, for example, in my part, I'm visiting the lake in transitive, and in intransitive verbs, for example, I'm skiing.
Right, good. And you, Gisela?
I have mentioned transitive verbs such as visit, laugh, eat. Okay, I think that the only intransitive verb that we have mentioned is ski, as my friend told.
Okay, thank you. What about you, girls?
Then in our dialogue, we mentioned some transitive and intransitive verbs. For example, transitive, what did you do? Do we use there has an intransitive. And then, when I said I went, then we use an intransitive verb.
Excuse me, did you say that do is transitive or intransitive?
Transitive.
Oh, I see. Okay. And you, Agustina?
In my dialogue, for example, let me remember, has an intransitive verb and has a transitive verb. I decided to go to Guatemala.
Okay, I decided something. And what about Agustina, remember, is transitive or intransitive?
Intransitive.
Intransitive, you think? Are you sure?
Yes.
When you remember, what do you remember?
Something?
Good. So that something would be the object of that transitive verb, right? Yes? So as a conclusion, we may say that transitive verbs have in their structure what?
Two participants.
Good. Which are they?
The active participant and the object, the subject participant and the object participant.
Very good. And what happens in the case of intransitive verbs?
Only one participant.
Right. So you have only the subject or actor. Very good, that performs that action. You see? And no object in that case. Thank you. By using this teaching methodology, EFL students got involved in the topic of the class first by providing examples of transitive and intransitive verbs in isolation and in context. Then, they reflected on different aspects of the topic more explicitly, listened to a native speaker's description of her stay in Mendoza, identifying the transitive and intransitive verbs that they heard, and classifying them into the two different categories. Next, they shared the two categories of verbs with their peers by saying them aloud and reflecting upon the different kinds of action verbs, transitive and intransitive, their meanings and structure. Finally, students used transitive and intransitive verbs in context in a more spontaneous and independent way by making up short conversations based on a topic provided by the teacher.